ใช่ครับ
After checking out the P9 late last year, we've kept a close eye on the Chinese mobile manufacturer over 2017 so far. The Huawei P10 came first, which sent shockwaves through the industry, enabling them to come up against the big boys like Samsung and LG. Now that the Huawei P10 Plus is here, it's their best smartphone yet. With its superb camera, excellent battery life and huge storage capacities, it's feeling very comfortable going against the likes of the Samsung S7 and iPhone S7 phones. So taking a look at the box, you will find that it opens up like a door. The doors open up, revealing the phone, which sits in a small tray while covered in a plastic packaging. Underneath the tray you will find a set of instructions and a plastic case to protect the rear of the phone. In the base you've got your USB cable, a quick charging plug and a hands-free set of headphones with an inline microphone. Opening up the plastic packaging around the phone and removing the screen protector, you're greeted with a phone that's taken most of its styling influences from another popular handset. You guessed it, the iPhone 7. Like most other flagship devices out there, Apple's presence when manufacturers design their phones are always in mind. The Huawei P10 Plus has a matte black finish on the back, and the camera area is kept very glossy. The Huawei logo is faded but still present. On the front, the screen takes up most of the surface area, only really leaving room for a lightning-quick fingerprint sensor. A brief swipe and you're onto your home screen. There are no buttons on the front, instead Huawei opting for touch buttons for open apps and menu on the screen itself. The device itself is built around a 5.5-inch screen, making it quite a large handset. Although there is hardly any bezel around the edge, I found the phone quite easily to hold. The back is a little slippery thanks to the matte finish, and reaching to the other side of the screen is nigh on impossible to do, so there's no one-handed texting here. But one-handed use while browsing the net or your Facebook feed is achievable. The power button and volume rocker being placed down the right-hand side is a nice touch. Although coming from a Samsung S7 to the Huawei P10 does have its differences. For me, it was a stretch to get my thumb to the fingerprint sensor with one hand, instead having to use my other hand to keep the phone stable while unlocking. A fingerprint sensor on the rear would easily avoid this. Secondly, there is no waterproofing, which compared to the Samsung S7 and even the iPhone 7 is a major hindrance in the battle for the top spot. The phone itself is actually quite heavy, and although this isn't so much a downfall in terms of how premium the phone feels, I think the weight is responsible for the tricky one-handed handling. The Huawei P10 Plus is not far behind the current flagship phones, as opting to use an LCD IPS display does unfortunately come up short compared to the AMOLED screens used in the likes of Samsung phones. Although there is a Quad HD 2560x1440 resolution, colours are just not as vibrant as the Samsung S8, instead giving off a more cool tone. Now that's not really a bad thing, and it's really more personal preference on how you enjoy your screen to look. There is a setting where you can adjust the warm tone of the screen if you don't like the out-of-the-box display. The screen is covered in Gorilla Glass 5, which means there is an element of scratch resistance. It can, however, still be damaged with enough force, such as sharing the same pocket with a set of keys or a bag with other items inside. There's also no screen protection across the front of the glass like on other flagship handsets, meaning that after a few minutes use you can start to see oily finger marks. There is a screen protector from out the box, but it's no good. It fell off after a couple of days and scratches really easily. It'll be worth investing in one to keep your screen looking nice and clean. Its performance is where this phone wins. Inside you'll find Huawei's own chipset, the HiSilicon Kirin 960, an octa-core processor with 4 cores running at 2.4 GHz Cortex A73s, and the remaining 4 coming in at 1.8 GHz Cortex A53s. This sits on par pretty much with what Samsung has in their latest handset, the S8, so speed-wise there shouldn't be too much difference between them. What more, Huawei has opted to put a total 6GB of RAM inside the P10 Plus, which is 2 more gigs of RAM than its smaller brother, the P10. Running the Geekbench 4 CPU benchmark saw the Huawei P10 Plus score a whopping 1,868 on a single core score and 6,280 on a multi-core score, which over the Samsung S7's 5,550 during our review is a great increase. We downloaded some pretty graphically demanding game titles including Micro Machines and Dirt Extreme. Both titles ran, but they were not as smooth as the game experience you could find on, say, an Apple iPhone 7. I believe this is probably because of the Mali G71 GPU chip inside. It's not as strong as Apple's A10 Fusion chips. Still, I wouldn't complain though, they were definitely playable. There are two cameras present on the back of the Huawei P10 Plus and both have their own use. One camera is a wide-angled lens with an aperture of f1.8, while the other lens is used for telephoto shots. There is a monochrome sensor inside coming in at 20 megapixels as well as an RGB sensor at 12 megapixels. The reason for this is so that the user can capture far more detail within a photo. What more is that this camera has been actually developed by photography giants Leica, and they definitely know what they're doing. I couldn't really find much fault with the camera, and most shots on screen look pretty sharp and colourful, albeit the cool tone of the Huawei P10 Plus's screen. There is a standard 128 gigs worth of storage, and thanks to the inclusion of a micro SD card slot, an additional 256 gig can be added. This is insane, especially for the price of this handset, as prices from other manufacturers are significantly higher. If you don't need that much storage, the P10 standard has a 64 gig storage capacity. One thing I did notice about the Huawei P10 Plus is that it drains battery like no other, especially when you have things like the GPS and Wi-Fi constantly turned on. I did however manage to get about a day's mild usage out of the handset, but this was a little disappointing. Charging however, thanks to its supercharger, is great and will charge from dead in around an hour or two. So should you buy one? Well, if you're looking for a flagship mobile, then this is definitely worth considering. Coming in at around £649 means that it is slightly cheaper than a new Samsung S8 or iPhone 7 with a specification that's nigh on comparable. The Leica design camera is absolutely superb and the phone is built really well. The quality of the metal used makes you feel as if you do have a premium handset in your hand. However, no water resistance, which is a letdown if you're like me who likes to listen to Spotify in the shower. Yes, I have dropped my phone in the shower in the past, and yes, it has broken slightly. So overall I would say the Huawei P10 is a phone worth checking out if you are in the market for a new handset. Thank you so much for checking out our video review of the Huawei P10 Plus mobile phone. If you enjoyed our review, then do click that like button. If you need any more in-depth information, then please head over to our written review at technuovo.com. Please give us your feedback on the video and let us know your thoughts on the P10 Plus, and also let us know in the comments which handset you're most likely going to get this year so far. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with our latest technology reviews. My name is Steph and you are watching technuovo.com.